Welcome to the Slingshot channel. Today I'm going to explain to you how distance injection syringes work. They are used by veterinarians all over the world, specifically when you try to inject something like anesthesia or maybe just medicine into a wild animal. But it's also been used in zoos a lot, since a wild animal is a wild animal even if it's captured. So let me first explain the differences to normal syringes. So a normal syringe, I think everybody knows it, pretty simple piece of equipment. You have a needle that you can remove, of course. You have a plunger. You have these two little holders so that you can take this and then squeeze out the liquid, and you see it's shot out right from the tip. Now, one of these distance injection syringes work completely different. First of all, they are more sturdy, since they will be shot out somehow with force. So they need to be more sturdy. As you can see, the entire thing is just more solid. Also, what you can see is that there is no plunger. Why is there no plunger? Because there is nobody who can press it in once it's hitting the animal. So therefore, this is done with compressed air from this chamber here. And of course, also, as you can see, there is some kind of a feather bush here, like a brush. And that is because of light stabilization, but also to keep it airtight in the blowgun or in the gun that is shot out. Also, the needle is much different, because as you see, there's a little piece of silicone here, and the silicone is actually put over a little hole. Let me see if you can see the hole. Yeah, here you can see it, because the tip of the syringe is actually blocked, since the liquid will come out of this thing sideways. And this little piece of silicone can be moved up and down on the needle, is actually keeping it tight until it hits the body of the animal and pushes it backwards and then releases the little opening here. And if you buy one of these sets together with a blowgun, then you get all kinds of equipment, like this huge syringe that, don't worry, it's not been used to inject stuff into a body. It's only to fill this up and to set it right. First we remove the needle, like so. Okay. Then we remove the brush. Very simple. And now we can see that there's still this little red piece in here, and that's from the previous shot. There's still a little bit of pressure in the chamber, so we need to get rid of this, which is actually sealing the entire syringe. And therefore they give you this little tool, which is just a little pin, I think. So you put this in and push, and now you see it's loosely in here, therefore there's no more pressure in the syringe. Next, you take this kind of filling syringe, and what you do is, first of all, get a little bit of air in, and then you put it in. It actually fits in perfectly, and then you push back the rod inside here until it has exactly the volume that you want. Okay, set it a little bit back. Okay, so now we have enough room for our liquid. And now we take the normal syringe and put the liquid inside of the distance injection syringe. I should make sure that there is no air in here, although a little bit of air isn't a problem. And now we put the needle back on, and we need to make sure that the silicone piece is actually closing this firmly, because otherwise the whole thing is gonna discharge as soon as we put in some pressure. Now comes the part where we set this under pressure, so replacing the plunger, and we take our kind of filling syringe again, fill it up with air, and now we need to make sure that the little red thing is exactly at the bottom, because that's actually sealing the chamber, and if that isn't flat at the bottom, it's not gonna work. So like so. So we put this on, and then we put this under pressure and then remove it. And now if you look closely, you will see that there's a dimple inside of this red rubber piece, and this means that this is now under pressure. You need to make sure that it is, and you can snip against it, and if it stays in place, there is enough pressure in here. Now we simply put the brush back on, and the syringe is ready to go. All we need to do is remove the cap, and then this is ready for some action. Okay. Now of course you need some kind of weapon to fire them, and company Teledart, which is only one of the manufacturers, and they do not sponsor me. I actually bought this at full price from Sportwaffen Schneider, a German online gun store. Delivers this to you. It doesn't require any kind of license. Everyone can buy one. It's actually a high quality product. If you open this up, like so, what you see is that the blowgun actually is in here, and it comes in two parts because it would otherwise be a little bit too long. And when you unpack it, you immediately see this is a high quality thing. It is, I think, aluminum, really well made, and also when you put it together, you can already feel it. So it's really, really well made, really good product. And it is much like a normal blowgun that you can buy like from Cold Steel and so on, but it has some special features up here. Let me show you. When you want to inject something into an animal body, you know, that liquid may actually not be very good for you. So you probably don't want to drink it, probably not even a drop of it. So what you do is, when you remove this, you can actually see that this is some kinds of distance keeper. So when you put in the syringe, like so, right, and then you put this in and you push this whole thing a little bit down, and this makes sure that it is absolutely impossible for your mouth to touch any piece of the syringe in here. So that's actually a quite clever, simple solution to the problem. And now the blowgun is ready for action, except of course that I left the cap on. And that is because I want to show you how far you can actually shoot a syringe with this thing. So let me shoot this through my driveway, although of course the low-hanging twigs will somehow limit the reach of the weapon. Whoa! It flies straight as an arrow, and let's count how many steps I can do. "28 steps. How easy is it to hit something with it? Well, it's not so hard if you practice a bit. Like with everything that shoots needs some practice. It's very simple. You focus on the target, not on the blowgun. And then you automatically see two blowgun barrels, left and right. And the target needs to be right in the middle between those two. And for the height, you need to adapt just by practicing. Perfect hit. Once you got the hang of it, it's actually fun. Now, of course, a blowgun like this is kind of clumsy, and even if you can put it in two parts, where it's a lot more compact, it's still somewhat not comfortable to carry around, and a lot of people have issues hitting something with it. So there are guns, actually air guns, but also some guns that just use primers to accelerate the syringes. Problem is, of course, there is only so much power that you can use to shoot the syringe. Otherwise you kill the poor animal instead of simply treating it. So therefore, this is all the power you need. But of course, the guns have the advantage that it's much easier to hit. And I actually made one of these guns myself from a self-defense CO2 shotgun. So this is the Humarex HDS 68 in the German version, castrated to 7.5 Joule, about 5 foot-pounds. The full open one is about twice as powerful, and I did attach another Picatinny rail. There is one here already, but I attached one here for aiming devices. We're not using those anyway. But I also put in two reduction barrels that actually allow me to really shoot these syringes. So because they have a diameter of 50 millimeter and the original barrels have 70 millimeter diameter. So I made this little barrel set that I can easily remove. It's not attached to the gun permanently. It's just some kind of reduction barrel set. Now this is of course weak, but I'm going to send the barrel set to a colleague from a forum who lives in France and who has the 16 joule version, like the open version, and he will do some tests, because I think that actually amongst veterinarians, that's a complicated word, it would actually be interesting for them to have two shots and also to have this compact size. I believe the 16 joule version would actually be as powerful and as long-reaching as the blowgun, and then this would make serious purpose. So you simply open the barrels and then you put both syringes in, like so. 1 and 2. And then you take whatever little tool to push it in all the way, like so. Okay. Close the barrels and you're ready for action. And this switch actually switches between the left barrel, the right barrel, and this setting actually shoots both at the same time. However, in the 7.5 joule version, that is so lame that I don't recommend doing it. And now I have two syringes loaded in my little shotgun. Okay, let's see if I can hit the bottle twice with it. First the right barrel. That was a little hefty. And now I'm holding this here, left barrel. Yeah. Injected. Okay, let's see how far these syringes fly from the short CO2 shotgun. Yeah, that's of course a lot less far. "15 steps. But it is fairly accurate. So now you know how one of these distance injection syringes work together with a blowgun or a gun. Now the question that a lot of you guys will now have, can I use this for self-defense? Can I fill something in and then defend myself? Well, of course there are a lot of really poisonous liquids that you can use, and you'll probably kill someone, but not quickly enough to really be useful for self-defense. Even if you put like battery acid or so on in here, I'm not even sure if the syringes would hold. They would probably melt. But in any case, you inject it into someone and he's not going to stop attacking you. You're probably going to end up being a lot angrier than before. So I asked my wife, and she is a medical doctor, as some of you may know. And she says, of course, there are really fast-acting liquids that, if injected to the right part of the body, will actually put you to sleep very, very quickly. But then, of course, these substances are highly controlled. And even doctors have to sign all kinds of things to get it. And therefore, I don't think that a normal person can get a hold of one of these things. Also, don't forget that this potentially kills the victim. So therefore, I think these should be used for the original purpose, means helping and curing animals. So I hope you learned something today, because that's it. Thanks.